At dawn on the 19th of October 2025, the silence over Russia's Orenburg region was shattered. A sudden roar, a piercing flash, and then the unmistakable bloom of fire rising from the flat expanse of gas fields. For residents miles away, it felt like an earthquake. But this wasn't nature's doing. It was another precise, long-range strike, this time on one of the largest gas processing facilities in the world, a direct hit carried out by Ukrainian drones, deep inside Russian territory. This is not just another attack. This is a message that the war between Russia and Ukraine is entering a new phase, one defined not by trenches, but by technology, strategy, and reach. According to Russian local authorities and multiple verified reports, Ukrainian drones struck the Orenburg Gas Processing Plant, a massive facility responsible for refining natural gas and its byproducts. The attack caused a large-scale fire, forcing an immediate evacuation and partial shutdown of operations. Satellite imagery released hours later shows the extent of the damage, a blackened section of the refinery complex. Flames still visible, even after emergency crews spent hours battling the blaze. Russian officials confirmed that at least 45 drones were launched toward multiple targets, with most intercepted, but several managing to reach deep into the country, far beyond the front lines. What makes this incident so significant is not just the distance. Orenburg lies about 1,400 kilometers, 870 miles, from the nearest Ukrainian border, a staggering reach for unmanned aerial vehicles. In other words, Ukraine's drone warfare capabilities are no longer limited to border skirmishes or symbolic strikes. They now threaten the core of Russia's industrial infrastructure. Defense experts believe these were long-range modified drones, possibly part of Ukraine's Beaver or UJ-26 class, upgraded with extended fuel systems and guided navigation. Each drone reportedly costs around $412,000. But its effectiveness far outweighs its price. One such drone can cause millions of dollars in damage if it hits a critical site like a refinery or ammunition depot. Analysts suggest that Ukraine has been quietly developing and upgrading its drone technology since mid-2024, integrating Western guidance systems and domestic AI-based targeting modules. And now, with Russia's energy infrastructure spread across vast, often undefended territories, Ukraine's drone fleet has become both its sword and its signal, a demonstration of reach and resilience. To understand the gravity of this attack, we need to understand Orenburg's role in Russia's energy network. This facility isn't just a regional plant, it's a lifeline. The Orenburg Gas Processing Complex handles up to 45 billion cubic meters of natural gas annually. It feeds domestic power grids and exports fuel components vital to the Russian economy, especially as sanctions squeeze other industries. A successful hit on Orenburg doesn't just damage a plant, it shakes the stability of Russia's energy export system, one of Moscow's main sources of wartime funding. Even a temporary disruption can ripple through pipelines feeding Europe and Asia, potentially affecting global prices. As one European energy analyst told Reuters, if you strike the heart of energy, you strike the heart of Russia's wartime economy. Within hours of the explosion, Russian state media began broadcasting footage of firefighters and emergency responders at the site. Governor Denis Pasler stated that the fire was under control, but he avoided mentioning the cause typical in Moscow's tightly managed information environment. However, eyewitness videos posted on social media tell another story: huge flames, dense smoke columns, and the unmistakable sound of secondary explosions inside the plant. These visuals quickly went viral, triggering panic in nearby communities and prompting the MONAL, Russian Defense Ministry, to issue statements emphasizing that most drones were intercepted. But experts believe otherwise. The fact that a Ukrainian drone could travel nearly 1,400 kilometers undetected suggests serious gaps in Russia's layered air defense system. If a drone can reach Orenburg, no target is truly safe. While Kyiv hasn't officially claimed responsibility, as is customary with long-range operations, Ukrainian defense sources have told multiple outlets that energy targets fueling the Russian war machine will continue to be legitimate targets. It's part of a new doctrine emerging in Ukraine's military strategy: deep disruption. Instead of matching Russia tank for tank,
explosions and a massive fire in Feodosia. The previous night, Ukrainian security forces attacked one of the largest fuel hubs in temporarily occupied Crimea, the marine oil terminal, and also several power substations at once which supplied electricity to the peninsula. The targets were facilities that supply the Russian army with fuel and energy for the war against Ukraine. Details in the report by Danil Dyomin.
The fire turned night into day in Feodosia. That's how visible it was.
Or missile for missile, Ukraine is choosing to strike where it hurts. Most infrastructure, supply lines, and morale. These attacks aren't just symbolic, they're psychological warfare. Every explosion, hundreds of miles inside Russia, reminds its citizens that this war is not confined to the front lines. It can reach their homes, their industries, their economy. The Orenburg strike is the latest in a growing list of deep strike missions that have redefined modern warfare. In 2023, Ukraine was testing drone raids barely reaching Belgorod. By 2024, they were hitting refineries in Ryazan, airfields in Peskov, and depots near Moscow. Now, in late 2025, they've proven that even Orenburg, a region closer to Kazakhstan than to Kyiv, is within reach. What we are witnessing is a new era of long-range warfare, where drones replace bombers and precision replaces mass destruction. It's a battle fought not just on the ground, but in the realm of engineering, data, and innovation. And as Ukraine continues to adapt, Russia faces the nightmare of defending a country the size of a continent with thousands of kilometers of critical infrastructure now vulnerable. Energy markets reacted within hours. Natural gas futures rose slightly, and European analysts began calculating potential export disruptions. Even if the fire is contained quickly, insurers, logistics chains, and investors now have to account for the psychological risk that anywhere in Russia could be the next target. This attack comes amid a wider geopolitical backdrop. The European Union has just approved a new sanctions package targeting Russian oil and defense suppliers. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky continues urging global action, saying, "Putin cannot be stopped with words." The Orenburg strike underlines that statement, that Ukraine is choosing action over negotiation, striking where it makes the most impact. Russia is expected to retaliate, perhaps not directly on energy plants, but through renewed missile barrages against Ukrainian infrastructure. Moscow has already vowed mirror responses, although analysts argue that the Russian arsenal is thinning. For Ukraine, the Orenburg success serves two purposes. First, it boosts morale at home after months of slow frontline progress. Second, it sends a clear message to Western allies that continued technological aid is paying off. Every successful deep strike strengthens Kyiv's bargaining power, both militarily and diplomatically. It tells the world, we can hit back, even when outnumbered. Public reaction, inside Russia. Inside Russia, social media chatter paints a different story from official statements. Residents shared videos under hashtags later censored by the Kremlin. Some posts even claimed that emergency sirens failed to activate in several nearby towns. Censorship aside, the panic was real. People are beginning to feel that the war they once watched on television is now burning in their own backyard. For Ukraine, each fire inside Russia symbolizes more than tactical success. It's a mark of endurance. It says, you may have invaded us, but we can reach you too. And for Russia, every such fire is a reminder that no amount of propaganda can fully contain the truth. Because in the age of drones and satellites, the sky has become the new front line, and fire the universal language of consequence. So, what does this all mean? It means the war has evolved. It's no longer just soldiers and tanks, it's engineers, coders, and drone pilots writing a new chapter in modern warfare. The strike on Orenburg marks a turning point, proving that distance no longer guarantees safety. As winter approaches and global attention shifts again, both sides are preparing for what may be the most critical phase yet. For Russia, it's about defense and damage control. For Ukraine, it's about innovation, persistence, and message. And for the rest of the world, watching from afar, it's a stark reminder that this war, once local, is now global in consequence. Because when a $412,000 drone can set fire to a billion-dollar gas plant nearly 1,400 kilometers away, the balance of power and the very idea of war will never be the same again.